Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do something a little different. This isn't going to be a news update or anything like that. I kind of want this to be a little bit of a longer form video, and it's just going to be you and I going through the entire GTA 6 map and checking out some of the locations. Now, of course, this is a heavily speculated version of the map, so take everything we're going through with a grain of salt. But of course, too, spoiler warning, just to, kind of cover bases in case we cover something that might come up later in the story. So if you guys want to grab a snack, grab a drink, and relax, let's get into the video. All right, I feel like we have to start this off in Vice City. I mean, it just makes the most sense as the first start point. So let's go over here into one of my favorite shots from the first trailer. And I just want to state this. I am going to be flashing up screenshots or still frames from the first trailer and second trailer, just so you know what I'm talking about when I reference something on the map. Now, I will not be including any leaked footage, so if I do discuss anything about the leaked footage from 2022, I unfortunately will not be able to give a reference image for any of that stuff. So you'll just have to use your imagination or try to find the clip I'm talking about. All right, let's look at one of my favorite locations that was seen in the first trailer. It's going to be these three islands right here. This is where we saw the shot of the toll booth. I think it's very interesting because it's really teasing the fact that we're going to have some of that GTA 4 toll booth kind of situation come back, or that system where we might see certain parts of the map may be locked off, or it's going to require a fee to get through. We can definitely expect nicer condos, nicer mansions. It's going to be a whole vibe over on these islands. It's going to be pretty cool. And I do believe this is where we're going to see over here on Starfish Island. I think this is where we're going to see Tommy Vercetti's mansion make an appearance, which we already kind of saw in the first trailer. Next, I want to check out South Beach and Vice Beach. Of course, Washington Beach too, all returning from Vice City. I cannot wait to see this. It is going to be so cool. All the workout equipment on the beach, all the late night vibes, all the clubs. It's going to be insane. And of course, we do know that it's possible that the Malibu Club is going to be coming back. It was at least referenced in the code. So that's going to be awesome to look for. We might even be able to own it. That would be even crazier, but we can work our way up the coast here. We can get to Bunker Island. That is a crazy shape. That is wild. Okay, we're gonna skip on past that. It looks like right here, I don't know exactly what this is. It looks like maybe these are baseball fields, or maybe I'm like totally wrong. That has nothing. That is not baseball fields at all, but that's what it looks like to me. So I don't know. Maybe that's a thing that will be in the game. I don't believe we have any reference in the code to that, but we do have a lot of other sports. We can move on over here back towards where we were, the Stockyards. This is going to be awesome. It's based on Wynwood in Miami. So it's going to have like a really art district kind of vibe to it. And it looks like from at least the trailers and the leaked footage that it's going to be heavy into the car culture as well. So I think we can see some chop shops here. Definitely some Benny's upgrade type of auto shops, I'm sure. Then we can move over here into Little Haiti. This is where we saw a lot of those shots of the dirt bikes and the ATVs going through the city. So this is definitely, this is returning from Vice City, so it's going to have its own whole vibe there as well. And I can expect a lot of missions happening in Little Haiti. Then we have Rock Ridge. So this was in the 2022 leaks. We saw a shot of Lucia and she's walking, and over in the corner, we could see Lone Depot. Well, that's what it's called in real life, but I think it's where the Mambas are going to play, if I remember the clip correctly. So that's going to be a whole baseball stadium that's going to be in the game. It's in real life, it's an outdoor stadium. So that's going to be fun to see if maybe, I don't know, we can like land jets and stuff inside of it, or if there's going to be real games that happen. Maybe certain times of the year, certain days of the week, we could actually see the stands packed, and maybe other days it's empty. I'm sure some missions are going to happen there. There's no way Rockstar has such a cool location like that, and then it doesn't actually have some sort of significance to the story. Now, moving over, we have Vice City International Airport. This is going to be incredible. I really hope that we can actually go inside of the terminal and be able to walk around and go through the gates and be able to explore the whole airport. Maybe that's a lot to, be asking for, but again, we do know that there's going to be a lot of interiors in the game. So I think Vice City International Airport would definitely be at the top of that list for people, I'm sure. At least for me, it is. And we did see that leaked footage from Jason, and he was, going into the Metro Mule, which is going to be the transportation around Vice City. and of course, Vice City International Airport. Now just going north of Vice City, we have the SERA or Sarah Station, which is going to be Rockstar's equivalent of NASA inside of the GTA universe. And we know this is referenced as a location from the 2022 leaks. So this is heavy speculation, but this is what we could probably imagine. A couple landing strips and of course some rocket launch pads as well. And there's no way Rockstar adds something like this and there not be a mission that references it. So we don't know if that's going to be like a main mission or a side activity, but it would be cool if every now and then or occasionally we could drive by, one of these highways over here and we could end up seeing rockets taking off. Next, we have Red Hill, which was referenced in the 2022 leaks. And I firmly believe it's in this shot right here that was released as a part of Mount Kalaga. I think Red Hill is actually going to be a area right around Mount Kalaga National Park, and it's given by, of course, in this picture, the Red Hills. Now, of course, we have Mount Kalaga and Mount Kalaga National Park. So this is going to be incredible. I cannot wait. I hope we have all types of signs around the park that actually reference it being a national park. I think it's going to help with the setting and it's going to help with the mood of the whole environment. And then it's really cool too to assume that we would have some fire watch towers, being some wildfires, which we've covered because we do have hints at there being wildfires in the game. Moving back over, we have another watchtower. I can imagine if they do go ahead and put this into the game, we're gonna have plenty of them, and it'll be an awesome vantage point to, climb up the ladder or go up the stairs and be able to see, out for miles. And I'm sure Rockstar's going to hide some weapons and different stuff at the top of those towers. Now, right to the left of the Red Hills is Port Gellhorn and Yorktown. So I believe that Yorktown, that was referenced in the 2022 leaks, is going to be like a suburb of Port Gellhorn, as Port Gellhorn being the major city itself. Now, we haven't seen a lot of Port Gellhorn as far as seeing the actual city portion, but we've seen all the ports and industrial areas and some of the surrounding areas as well. So I firmly believe it's going to be another major city, just like Vice City, but we've really only got to see a little bit of it. I think Rockstar is definitely holding, their cards close to the chest, and they're playing it safe and not wanting to show us too much. But I think it's truly going to be a big city. So let's dive into what this map creator is expecting Port Gellhorn as a city to look like. So they're picturing it to have a major airport. So I do know from what we know from people piecing together the different coordinates and all the different clips that we have seen, that there already is confirmed to be a bigger airport in Port Gellhorn, which is also helping with the fact that people are expecting it to be a bigger city rather than just a tiny little point of interest on the map. So again, I'm going to echo exactly what I said with Vice City International Airport. I really hope that we can go into this airport and be able to explore the terminals, the jet bridges, and, have the full airport experience, and it not just be like GTA 5 where you can only go on the runway and the buildings are completely non-enterable. And over here we can see an abandoned theme park. Not sure if that's actually something that people have been able to find in the files, but that would be definitely interesting to see. I do know that over here somewhere, let's see, I lost it. Bohema, or I'm probably gonna say that's probably totally wrong. I'm assuming that this is what people are thinking the version of Orlando is, because I do see theme park right here. We did have Fairyland Forest mentioned in the 2022 leaks, so people, myself included, are expecting that to be a Disney World, and of course they would make a play on that to avoid any crazy situations with Disney and stuff. So I don't know, that would be definitely fun if that does end up to be in the game. It's a huge part of Florida, so why wouldn't it be a huge part of Leonida? And while we're over here, I completely missed Lake Leonida. This is huge. Lake Leonida is based on Lake Okeechobee in Florida. It's the biggest lake in Florida, and it's definitely the biggest lake here in Leonida as well. It's going to offer a lot of fun activities, and for the fun of it, I actually went over to Google reviews for Lake Okeechobee, and it's quite hilarious. There are people asking if they can kayak and do different lake activities, and everyone just kind of mocks them because it's Florida. Why in the world would you want to go swimming inside of Lake Leonida, or Lake Okeechobee, I guess is what I meant to say? And why would you want to do that when there's alligators, crocodiles? It's such a bad idea. So I could expect we could see some of that here in Lake Leonida as well. Moving on down, we have Ambrosia, which is just going to be so stinking cool. I cannot wait. I assume that this right here, let's see, Maybe this is the sugar refinery. I'm not too sure from this picture of the map. I'm not too sure, but we do have the farmlands here, which we can see on that screenshot where the fire is burning. You know, they're doing some controlled burns on those sugar fields. All right, and just south of Ambrosia, we do have what looks like the Leonida State Penitentiary, which is where we saw Lucia in trailer 1. So this is definitely a little bit outside of Vice City, which makes sense because this is the Leonida State Prison. So it's going to be a little bit on the outskirts. I could expect there not to be a whole lot going on out here, besides maybe just a couple convenience stores, maybe a grocery store, but it's going to be pretty desolate out here in the middle of nowhere. We also have Fort Baxter, which is going to be returning from GTA Vice City. So we see a landing strip right here, and then it's also going to have somewhat of just very grid-like neighborhoods that are all going to be on base. And we can see some surrounding water as well. It's probably going to be fairly marshy, very desolate, not a whole lot going on. A lot of these highways just through the middle of nowhere, but it's going to be super scenic, and I could expect maybe even some cool wildlife opportunities for deers to run out and different wildlife to, you know, kind of get in the road since it is in the middle of nowhere. And continuing on south, we do have the Hillbilly Mud Club, which we saw in trailer 1, so we could expect a lot of fun off-roading happening out here, and then just a lot of just general craziness and, you know, Leonida craziness. It's going to be wild, a lot of Leonida man situations, just like the Florida man, and we can expect some off-roading out there. Now, I did skip this other airport here. I'm not exactly sure what, maybe this is actually the one that I was thinking of that we found that people were able to build with the coordinates from the 2022 leaks. So maybe that's what I'm actually thinking about here. This one, I'm not too sure. I'll have to look back into that. And if I find something by the time this is edited, I'll go ahead and include that here. But we do have what looks like another airport just here south of Port Gellhorn. Now, we do have Hamlet, which is just south of Vice City, and it looks to have a Hamlet Raceway, which is going to be so much fun. I cannot wait for that, being able to take supercars or even NASCAR vehicles out here on the raceway, and I'm sure in online it's going to be a lot of fun as well. So I cannot wait to get on the Hamlet Raceway. This is the Grassrivers, so this is where we saw some of those gator poaching, and we did have a flamingo refuge that was spotted, or it was in the leaked footage and in the leaked code from 2022. So this is going to be actually somewhere out here, and of course naturally the Gator Bay, so lots of gators. It's going to be crazy. So we'll move on down through the keys. We have Key Lento, which is where Jason lives. So in a lot of those shots where we could see Vice City off in the distance, that's because this is Key Lento right here. And you know, Vice City is just north, so it's very close, at least in retrospect. But we can expect a lot to go on here in the early part of the game, probably towards the rest of the story as well. But I do believe we're going to get a lot of our start here in Key Lento. Then we have the Gator Key. So this is the next part after Key Lento, and that is also where we could see the blimp and that Coast Guard station from the first trailer. I'll go ahead and put that on the screen here. And of course, we can see that unfinished bridge from the first trailer, which looked like the absolute best stunt jump ever. So that's going to be right here. And then we can see a little bit of the military base. So that was very sneaky of Rockstar to actually place the camera right here on this junction and face it out towards the blimp, and then not let us see too much of what's going on north where we can see Vice City and get a feel for the map. Very sneaky. But then of course, right behind that camera is our military base, which does actually exist in real life. So I'll go ahead and put a picture of what it looks like on the screen. So we don't know for sure how Rockstar is going to put it in the game or how it's going to look, but I think people are just kind of going based off of what it looks like in real life. Moving on down, we have the Sundown Key, which is the final part of the keys. And we can expect an airport down here, and then just some general city and town sort of feel down here. Very developed in real life for the little bit of landmass that it has, but we can definitely expect an airport so that we don't have to necessarily drive all the way down here. We can fly a plane if we choose to, but that drive is just going to be absolutely scenic if you do choose to go on the roads. And that concludes everything we can expect in the state of Leonida. Now, I do want to include some more stuff, which is some extra parts that they did go ahead and put in this fun map, which is north and south of the state of Leonida. And it's fun to imagine that Rockstar might give us some extra areas like Gloriana and even some parts of the Bahamas, which would be super cool. So let's go ahead and check those out now, and then I'll go ahead and wrap up the video. So we can see a cruise port, which is interesting to mention because we did actually see a cruise ship in one of the screenshots of Vice City that were released around the second trailer. We have Fort Escobar here, which is just hilarious. And then we have Donald Love Island, which I think is kind of poking fun at some real craziness. I'm not going to get into all that, but Donald Love is actually a character in the GTA universe, but I think they're parroting some wild stuff. So I'll just leave that there and you just kind of run with it. We also have like what looks like an airstrip out here, very desolate, probably for drug running. And then we do have some reefs here. I'm sure this area, if it does actually end up in the game, would be absolutely beautiful. We have a wildlife preserve out here too. I could only imagine. I'm sure this area is just insanely beautiful. And then we have a Narcos junction point, which would be a hilarious point of interest or an actual location on the map. I mean, it just sounds so funny, but I can imagine a desolate type of dirt runway out here for drug running. Now, just north of the state of Leonida, we have the southern state of Gloriana. Now, this is rumored to be either Alabama or Georgia. I'm going to lean towards more Georgia, but I mean, I'm open for discussion, so go ahead and put your best guess in the comments below. Starting over here on the right, we do have a highway under construction, which would be a fun way to kind of close off some of the bridges if Rockstar doesn't want to allow us to go up there immediately from the get-go, or if it's something that gets released, the whole state gets released later in a DLC, they could have their lore way or in-game universe way of not letting us up there yet. We can see another base, which is pretty awesome in air traffic control. So we can see a runway right here along the highway and along the coast. And then we have Gloriana State Highway Patrol Station, which is so fun to think about that we might actually have some fun interstate type of radar that can happen as soon as you go over this bridge. Then we do have New Alderney, which could function sort of like a Savannah, Georgia, right here on the coast. And then we can see a little bit of a dock. And I'm sure this would be fun to go over here and, boat from the state of Leonida up here into southern Gloriana. And then I guess really wrapping this up, we do have Cottonmouth Highway and Atlantic Highway that do lead out. So who knows where that goes or if it just dead ends. Rockstar's never really been into that, but it's just fun to imagine what that could be. And then our major city here in the state of Gloriana is Valerie. So not sure exactly what that's going to be poking fun at or what it's kind of spoofing, but if you know, go ahead and put in the comments below. I would love to know. And with all of that covered, that pretty much concludes this video. Thank you so much for watching this whole thing. If you made it here to the end, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more daily GTA 6 videos just like this one. Thank you again for sitting through this whole video. It's just kind of fun to go over the map and just speculate on what we might be seeing here when GTA 6 does officially launch. And with that all out of the way, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.